Hey everyone and welcome back to HipHop Noise. Today we're going to be talking about Sade, one of the most successful female British artists of all time. Make sure you stay until the end to find out how Sade is spending her time during the epidemic. Sade was born Helen Falase Adu in Ibadan, Nigeria. She was raised by her Nigerian father, who was an economics professor, and her mother, an English nurse. At the age of 11, she moved to Essex in England and lived in the town of Holland-on-Sea with her mother following her parents' divorce. Although she grew up dreaming of working in the fashion industry, she eventually teamed up with a brand of talented musicians and formed Sade. Their songs have continued to enchant Neely's fans for decades. Despite having released only 6 albums, Sade has sold over $50 million records internationally. Their last album, Soldier of Love, was released in 2010 after a long hiatus. So what's the truth behind the band's many hiatuses? Is there something going on in Sade's personal life that is causing the hiatuses, or is it simply part of the band's creative process to take long breaks? Sade discovered soul music and nightclubs at the age of 14, but she didn't aim towards the music industry until later on in life. When she was 17, she took a 3-year course of fashion and design in London. She even designed and sold her own line of menswear. An acquaintance she met selling clothes at Camden Market, Lee Barrett, was a manager for a band called Pride. She started as a backup singer for the band, but eventually became the lead after the previous frontwoman left. Eventually, the band's style changed in accordance with Sade's stage presence, which seemed to be the band's main appeal, despite her self-admitted lack of technical training and education in music. Sade said that sometimes she would simply sing into a tape recorder, and her bandmates would then turn it into a song. This system worked out well for the band, and it's how they became up with songs like Smooth Operator and Your Love is King. These demos were shopped around, but the band was told that they were too long and too jazzy. Sade's boyfriend at the time, Robert Elms, was working as a journalist and played some of the band's songs for his friends who worked for a magazine. They loved Sade's voice and style and so decided to slap her on the magazine cover. The band then put on a gig at a nightclub and invited some journalists. The next day, fame called. Record companies were desperate to sing the band, and some even wanted Sade to come work with big American producers like Quincy Jones, but she turned it down because she wasn't looking for the deal with the most money. Instead, she signed with Epic Records, who gave her an advance of about $77,000 in exchange for 15% of album sales. This was a risky move, but it turned out to be one of the most lucrative deals in the record contract history. The song Hang On To Your Love was number 1 in the US, and Smooth Operator arrived at number 5. Sade was seen as an embodying class and sophistication, but at the time her album was released, she and her boyfriend were squatting in a variety of places in London. In an interview, her boyfriend stated that they even stayed in an abandoned fire station one time. The building had no heat and the toilet was outside. The album Promise came out in 1985 and sold over 9 million copies, and Sade received the Best New Artist award at the Grammys. And in 1986, she even started acting with her debut in the film Absolute Beginners. However, when her album Stronger Than Pride came out in 1988, it was apparently slammed by critics and her popularity started to decline in the United Kingdom. There were even rumours that Sade was suffering from bad stage fright. But despite all this, Sade explained in a Washington Post interview that she ignores the press and rumours going around about her and the band because it could affect her performances. She's been very secretive about her personal life, which is why not much is known about her relationship with Robert Elms. Her next romance was the nightclub owner Spike Denton, for whom she apparently attempted to buy the Fulham Football Club. The deal fell through, and so did the relationship. According to the Daily Mail, it was Sade's newfound success that caused trouble between the two of them. By 1989, Sade had moved on and married Carlos Pelago, a Spanish film director. But the marriage soon fell apart after the couple moved to Madrid. The band's 4th album, Love Deluxe, was released in 1992, and Sade took 2 home Grammys for No Ordinary Love. At this point, her relationship with Pelago was over. As she explained to The Fader, she was said it was a sad situation. The following period was spent away from the public eye, as Sade moved back to the UK and found a home in North London, with which she experienced problems as the foundations of the house weren't stable. It seemed her personal life was both literally and figuratively falling apart. It was at this point that Sade decided to take a break from music and wasn't sure she would ever put out another album. However, a Greatest Hits album was released in 1994. Meanwhile, Sade started a new relationship with Bob Morgan, a Jamaican music producer. The couple had a baby girl named Michaela in 1996. It seems as though Sade's time taken away from the music industry was instead dedicated to her role as a mother and her boyfriend's heritage. She moved to Jamaica, but the couple's happiness suffered a blow when a warrant was put out for Sade and Kingston for reckless driving. The singer explained to Time magazine that the whole thing was blown out of proportion and that, in fact, the police officer tried to bribe her. Her strategy to avoid getting arrested was to never go back to Jamaica again. It took Sade only a year to finish her next album, Lovers Rock, which was released in 2000, including the smash hit By Your Side, which made the album triple platinum and garnered Sade a Grammy for Best Vocal Album. The band's first live album, Lovers Live, was released 2 hours later. However, Sade disappeared once again from the limelight as her and Bob Morgan split up and Sade began dating Ian Watts, a former Royal Marine. She explained in an interview that if she could just find a guy who could chop wood and had a nice smile, she wouldn't care if he was a thug or an aristocrat, as long as he was a good guy. In 2005, the couple moved into a cottage in rural England with Sade's daughter and Ian's son from a previous relationship. It seemed as though Sade was very much enjoying her domesticated life, but in 2010, Sade released her 6th studio album, Soldier of Love. Then, years after the band's last studio release, she stated that the creation of this album was at once a spiritual experience and a mission. The album remained at the top of the charts for the 3 weeks, and the band received a Grammy for Best Group Performance. Sade was both afraid and elated when she stepped back on stage for the band's world tour. In the end, she was just relieved to be a success again. But after the tour, Sade once again stepped away from the limelight. She said that they intentionally kept distance from the outside world and the public eye for independence and sanity. She didn't want the public knowing about her personal life and all of her troubles. The next the public heard of Sade's personal life was when her son, Isaac, shared his journey as a transgender man. He thanked his mother, father, family and friends on Instagram for all their support. In 2018, Sade returned once more after an 8-year hiatus, releasing the song Flower of the Universe, which appeared on the soundtrack for the film A Wrinkle in Time, and later that year, the song The Big Unknown for the movie Widows. In July of this year, she finally did an interview with Vogue, where she revealed she was social distancing at a farm in West Country with her partner Ian and her mum. While she didn't mention any new music releases, she did say she had been spending time working on songwriting and cooking. So let us know in the comments what you think of Sade's decision to stay out of the spotlight and take longer hiatuses than most musicians can allow themselves, and make sure to like and subscribe.